There's a specific moment a lot of us hit somewhere after 60, and it has nothing to do with how much we care about our homes. It's the moment you finish the kitchen, sit down for 2 minutes, and realize the living room already needs the same treatment you just gave the kitchen. You're not behind because you're lazy. You're not behind because of your age. You're behind because nobody ever showed you the actual order professional cleaners use. The one that turns a house from something you're constantly chasing into something you move through in a set pattern, every time, with almost no wasted motion. That's exactly what I'm handing you in this video. By the time we're through, you'll have the full room-by-room system a professional maid actually runs, adjusted specifically for bodies that don't want to be bending, kneeling, or reaching overhead every 5 minutes. Some of you will knock out the whole house in one sitting. Others will split it into 2 or 3 shorter sessions, and that's just as valid. Either way, you'll know precisely what comes first, second, and last, and you'll never again stand in the middle of a room wondering where to start. Before we get into a single technique, I want to mention that this channel exists to prove something specific, that the years after 60 can be some of the most capable, most in-control years you've had, not by pushing harder, by working smarter. If that's the kind of content you're after, go ahead and subscribe, because there's a lot more of this coming. Now let's get into the actual system, the professional cleaning system. Here's something that surprised me the first time a professional cleaner explained it to me. She said the biggest difference between a homeowner cleaning their own house and a trained cleaner walking into that same house isn't effort, it's sequence. A homeowner cleans by mood. They notice the thing that bothers them most, attack that one spot, run out of steam, and lose the thread halfway through the room. A professional never does this. She moves through a home in a fixed order every single time, which means she never wastes energy deciding what to do next, and she never accidentally redoes work she already finished. That fixed order comes down to 3 simple habits. High to low, so dust and crumbs fall onto surfaces you haven't cleaned yet instead of ones you just finished. One direction around the room, so you're never doubling back wondering if you got that one corner. And dry work before wet work, meaning dusting and wiping happen before any mopping or wet cleaning, because floors are always the very last thing touched in any room. Once these 3 habits are running automatically in your head, cleaning stops being a series of decisions and starts being a straightforward loop you move through. Here's the part I really want to sit with for a moment, because I know a portion of you watching are dealing with a knee that doesn't cooperate the way it used to, or a lower back that has opinions about bending over. This system was never built for someone who moves around effortlessly. It was built to cut the physical cost of cleaning down as far as it can go. You're not going to be on the floor scrubbing grout with a toothbrush. You're not going to be stretching over your head balancing on a step stool. The order we follow and the tools we use are chosen specifically so the work fits your body instead of fighting it. And on the mornings your body genuinely isn't cooperating, you don't run the whole system. You pick one room. You finish it. That's a win, full stop. The 5-minute setup. Most people quietly lose 20 or 30 minutes before they've cleaned a single surface, and they never notice it happening. It's the walking back to the closet for the glass cleaner, the discovering the spray bottle is empty halfway through the bathroom, the searching for the cloth you were holding 2 minutes ago. For anyone managing joint pain or a daily energy limit, those extra trips across the house aren't a minor inconvenience. They add up fast, so we're removing them entirely before we start. Grab one basket or caddy and load it once. An all-purpose spray, glass cleaner, 2 or 3 microfiber cloths, a scrub sponge, and a duster. That container travels with you, room to room, for the entire clean. You never set it down and walk away from it. A basic plastic caddy from a dollar store does the job just as well as anything expensive. Second, take one slow walk through the house and collect 10 items that are out of place, returning each one to where it belongs as you go. It sounds almost too small to matter, but cleaning a space that's already decluttered takes a fraction of the effort of cleaning around piles of stuff. Third, if the weather allows it, crack a window or 2. Moving air while you're using any spray product is easier on your lungs, and it changes the whole feel of the clean from a chore into something closer to a reset. And last, put music or a podcast on. It sounds like a small thing, but people who clean with something playing in the background consistently report the whole process feeling shorter and less draining. The kitchen. The kitchen goes first, and there's a real reason for that beyond convenience. It's the room that carries the most emotional weight in most homes. It's where the day starts, where the day often ends, and it's the room that colors how the rest of the house feels. Get the kitchen under control, and the momentum tends to carry you into every room after it. Here's the professional habit almost nobody expects. You don't start with the counters, you start with the sink. An empty, dry, wiped-out sink resets how the whole kitchen reads to your eye. Fill it briefly with warm, soapy water, wipe it down, rinse, and dry it. 2 minutes, no more. Then move to the counters in one steady direction, spraying and wiping as you clear anything that doesn't belong there back to its home. Cabinet fronts are the piece nearly everyone skips, and it's the difference between a kitchen that looks surface clean and one that's actually clean. Grease builds up gradually near the stove until you stop noticing it's there. A damp cloth with a small amount of dish soap, worked panel by panel, handles it in a few minutes. For the stovetop itself, mix a small paste of baking soda and water, spread it over any cooked-on spots, and let it sit while you work elsewhere in the kitchen. Come back and it wipes away with almost no scrubbing and no harsh fumes. For the refrigerator, forget clearing the whole thing out in one exhausting session. Pull one shelf, wipe it, check what's on it, replace it. Just one shelf, once a week. Over a month you've cycled through the entire fridge without ever spending more than a few minutes on it at a time. That's the kind of habit that actually survives contact with a busy week, unlike the all-day fridge overhaul nobody ever repeats. Floors are last in every room, no exceptions. And in the kitchen that means a lightweight mop or a Swiffer-style tool, no kneeling required. The bathroom. The bathroom is small, but it tends to feel disproportionately draining, partly because it's genuinely a safety-relevant room. A wet floor, a cluttered vanity, a grab bar nobody's checked in months, these aren't just cleanliness issues, they're the kind of small things that quietly become real hazards. So this room isn't just about looking clean, it's about staying safe, in a space you use multiple times a day. Same loop applies, just compressed into a smaller footprint. Start at the toilet, working the tank lid, then the seat, then the outside of the bowl, before finishing with the inside last, which is the reverse of how most people actually do it. For the tub or shower, here's a trick that saves your shoulders directly. Spray it, then walk away for a few minutes while you handle the sink and mirror. Let the product do the work instead of your arm doing the scrubbing. For mirrors, a little diluted white vinegar and a crumpled sheet of newspaper wiped in circles cuts streaks better than almost anything sold in a bottle, and it costs next to nothing. While you're in there, give any grab bars a firm, deliberate tug, just to confirm they're still completely solid. 5 seconds, once a week, worth every bit of the time. Floor gets a wet pad or lightweight mop last, dried thoroughly around the tub and sink base so nothing stays slick. The bedroom. By the time you reach the bedroom, the loop should already start to feel automatic, which is exactly the goal. Make the bed first, before touching anything else in the room. It seems backwards to some people since technically nothing's been dusted yet, but a made bed functions as the visual anchor for the whole room, the same way the clean sink anchors the kitchen. The room reads as half-finished the moment the bed is made, and that sense of progress is what keeps you moving through the rest of it. For ceiling fan blades, slide an old pillowcase over each blade and pull it back off, so the dust collects inside the fabric instead of raining down onto the bed and floor you just cleaned. Shake it into a trash bag when you're done. No dust cloud, no re-cleaning the surfaces underneath. Clear the nightstand completely, wipe the whole surface, and only put back what genuinely lives there. A lamp, a book, a water glass. A cluttered nightstand keeps a bedroom feeling unsettled in a way that actually affects how well you sleep. So this isn't decoration, it's function. For under the bed, a long-handled duster reaches from either side without any bending at all. The living room. This is your last major room, and I want you to remember this one specifically for the harder days. If you only have energy for one room, make it this one. It's the space you rest in most, and the first thing anyone sees walking through your front door. Start by fluffing cushions and folding any throws before touching a single surface. The room visibly improves before any actual cleaning has happened, and that visual jump tends to hand you the energy to keep going. Dust from the highest point down, in one steady direction around the room, hitting shelves, frames, and lampshades, which collect more dust than people expect. Here's a spot most routines skip entirely and shouldn't. Light switches, door handles, and remote controls. These are the surfaces every hand in the house touches constantly, and a quick wipe with a disinfectant wipe on each takes under a minute. Vacuum in straight, overlapping lines rather than random passes or circles. It's genuinely faster and picks up more than any other pattern, and it's the exact method professional cleaners default to. Floors, windows, and high-touch surfaces. A quick note on windows, since this is where people either avoid the task completely or spend way more effort than needed. Skip cleaning windows on a bright sunny day. It feels like the right call because you can see every streak clearly, but the heat dries your cleaning solution onto the glass before you can wipe it off, leaving streaks before you've even finished the pass. Overcast days or early mornings work far better. Inside glass just needs a damp, microfiber cloth and plain water, or a little diluted vinegar if you want something with more cutting power. Wipe one pass horizontally and the next vertically, so if a streak shows up, you know exactly which side it came from. Exterior windows are a separate conversation, and honestly, they're a once or twice a season task at most, only when the weather and your footing are both completely secure. Nobody is inspecting the outside of your windows on a random weekday, so give yourself full permission to leave that one alone most weeks. The final walkthrough. There's one habit professional cleaners do at the end of every job that almost never gets mentioned, probably because from the outside it looks like doing nothing. They walk through the space they just finished and simply look at it. Not to re-clean, not to hunt for mistakes, just to take in the result. Do this when you finish. Stand in each doorway for a few seconds. You'll catch the occasional smudge or cushion that's slightly off, sure, but more importantly, you'll actually register that you did the work. That's not vanity. That's you giving yourself credit for something real. The daily reset. None of this matters much if the house slides right back to where it started in 3 days. So here's the piece that keeps it from happening. 5 minutes every evening, same rough time, nothing rigid about it. Dishes done or loaded. Counters wiped. One load of laundry moved along if there's one running. 3 or 4 stray items returned to where they belong. Cushions fluffed. That's the entire list. Do this consistently, and you wake up most mornings to a house that's already largely in order, which means your weekly clean stops being a marathon and turns into light maintenance instead. I'll be straightforward about something here. This habit is harder to actually start than it sounds, because evenings are usually when energy is lowest, which is exactly when you're asking yourself to do a bit more. The trick is tying it to something you already do every evening, without thinking, right after dinner, or right before the television goes on. Attach it to something that already happens automatically, and it sticks far better than floating as a vague intention. You'll skip it some nights, that's fine. The goal is doing it most of the time, not doing it perfectly every time. The weekly rhythm beyond the daily reset. A simple weekly split keeps the bigger picture from ever building up. One day for the kitchen, counters, stovetop, and sink, roughly 10 minutes. One day for the bathroom, toilet, sink, mirror, and a quick floor pass, another 10 minutes. One day for the living spaces, a light vacuum and a dust pass over the main surfaces, maybe 15 minutes. Then once a month, rotate through the deeper jobs one at a time, a fridge shelf, the fan blades, the interior windows, under the beds, so nothing ever piles up into a big, overwhelming project, because nothing is ever left long enough to become one. If you're in a smaller home or an apartment, this compresses naturally. You might only need 2 days instead of 3, or half the time on each. Let the rhythm bend to fit your actual space, not someone else's floor plan. And if a week goes sideways and none of it happens, you just pick back up the following week. No guilt required. If any of this is landing for you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and if there's someone in your life who's been feeling a little behind on their own home lately, send this their way. This is the kind of thing people don't look for until they need it, and once they have it, it tends to change how they approach their whole week. You don't need to clean harder, you never did. You need a system, and now you've got one, room by room, step by step, built around how your body actually moves these days instead of how it used to. That's the whole difference between chasing your house and running it.